Yo, what is happening? We are on another day and a new task when it comes to the Fox body. Yo, it is like, it's early. It's a new day. I found a new problem. It is currently like 7:30 in the morning. I got up hella early today. So, previous video, y'all saw we got, a new seat put in, new seat bracket, right? So, with that being done, I was able to test drive the Mustang a little bit better. I had my passenger seat from my Civic in. It was very hard to do test drives in it because every time the Mustang would move or do a hard jump or jerk, the seat would completely move. It was all bad. So that's why I had to get the seat in there, do what I did. So after, last video, that day, I took the Mustang around my neighborhood, down the streets, back and forth, trying to get the Autotune to work. Now, Autotune was not working. Found out it had something to do with the temperature of the engine, the cooling temperatures, right? Engine temperatures. And it's not synced with the one on the cluster. So it was reading right in the middle because we bled it, fixed it. It was reading right at the middle where it's supposed to, operating temp. But on the Mega Squirt, the tuner, the DIY tuner, it wasn't reading the same exact. So I had to go in there and I was able to bring down the idle to between 900 to 1,000, which I feel like is normal idle range. Pretty much manually saying like, yo, coolant is this, not this. Manipulating the system a little bit, right? And I found out that was one of the reasons why Autotune wasn't working, because in Autotune section it was saying 160 degrees temperature. That's where it's gonna start working at. So I had to drop that down to 50 because it's saying 70, 80 on the tuner, which is where it's at perfectly inside the car. So I had to drop it to 50 inside of Autotune. Now, because it says active filter is what's causing Autotune to not work. So then we get that situated, fix that real quick. Now it's saying O2's out of range. Now I'm getting a little bit better with the field tables and the AFR readings and everything. So I started messing with the field table and understanding the KPAs. So I got, I think, a 5 psi, 10 psi spring in there. So, 135 kPa is, I believe, 5 psi boost. That's obviously where I'm maxed out on the kPa line on everything. 135 is the top because I don't want to go no more than 5 pounds of boost. This, honestly, driving around the block, the Mustang feels like it has more power in the throttle. I've grown up with this car. I've learned how to drive manual in this car. I've never felt the gas pedal be as it's a weird thing to say. It's like before, it was very loose, stiff, whatever, you could play with it. Now it feels it almost feels like a clutch pedal. So I think it's got more power now. There's more air, more power, and you can feel it immediately in the throttle itself on the gas pedal. So get through that. Now it's saying that the O2 is out of range, and I started messing with it to see if it's actually reading correctly between the tuner studio and the AFR gauge on the car. AFR gauge on the car is reading, I was messing with the fuel table to make it go up to 14 and then down to 12 and then 13. I was messing with the fuel table to make the AFR do different numbers while reading the gauge inside of the tuner studio, and they're not aligned. So that's the problem we're dealing with right now. Autotune is saying the O2 is out of range, meaning that it's not reading the O2 sensor that we put in on the driver's side. And that's because of the situation I tried to prevent a month ago when I got the ECU, about a month ago. There is no new videos on this new generation of the Mega Squirt. I had to obviously go find it last night and realize that there is a jumper that I'm supposed to move in there, which I thought I had to move. That's why I cracked it open before I put it in the car, because I wanted to prevent what I'm about to do, and the reason why I'm making this video. So now I have to take the ECU back out, which, I mean, it's not a problem. I did a pretty good job putting everything where it is. It's not going to be that hard to take out and, you know, do, because everything is ran properly. All I gotta do is snip a zip tie for the vacuum line, unplug stuff, pop it out, put it on the table, and look for the jumper. And I was like, this is, you know, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This kind of sucks that I have to take it out, because I tried so hard to prevent what I'm gonna have to do. But it is what it is, man. It comes with the game, you know. There's nothing we could do about it. But I can't say that driving the car around the block, it was a really good time. It was really fun. It feels really good to just have it running on the road a little bit, you know. So I'm just praying to God, crossing my fingers, that I didn't do any damage. But the car did a good job at cutting off fuel, cutting off spark. So safety systems wise for everything is, you know, working the way it's supposed to, in terms of it getting either too much power, too much boost, or too much whatever. It'll limit you and, you know, cut you off. And it did its job, I can say. But now we gotta get the Autotune working so that I can drive it around. And after this is figured out, obviously I'm gonna have to address the big ass oil leak coming from the oil pan. But I'm probably gonna have one of my guys do that work for me. So as we go ahead and get to work and crack this open, let me get back to y'all. Alright guys, so I just found it. I was using, like I said, I found their website with the new updated information if you have the Mega Squirt Plug and Play 2, and thus the serial like version numbers. So 2023 version 2.1, and it's saying J5. And to do the jumper, I couldn't find it before, but I found it now. You know, if you're looking at the Mega Squirt from your ECU, your main plug-in point with the data cable here, vacuum line here, it is right there. At least it is for me, for Fox Body. I found the jumper, J5, and this little black jumper. See if it can focus. Right there, that little black jumper, it was right in those two prongs. Now I got my O2 sensor on the left side, so you got to move it 2 spaces over to where it says L on the motherboard, and pop. You know, it's very simple. Be nice and gentle and easy. It slides out easy and it slides in easy. You want to be very gentle. Don't be too rough, too complicated. But we found it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pop everything back in the car. And also found out that this doesn't even have a setup for the line that we ran to the back of the wideband. There's no setup here. I'm gonna show you in a second. So here's the diagram for the accessory port right here. This new style accessory port, I found it. And we know it's the new one because of how weird the shape is. So if we look at this, and then we look at that, we know this is true. And it literally says, you know, it goes A through Z, and unless analog sensor ground, I mean, unless that's for that, Ego J5 jumper must be removed. Knock IAT external map. It's got a 5 VCD out, 12 volt supply out. It's got a ground, launch in, clutch it. Like, it has, like, none of this says anything about AFR gauge. None of it says anything about an AFR gauge. So I'm just gonna plug it back in just because I did it, but honestly I think I wasted my time doing that, and I think you guys will as well. I could try to test it, but I forgot that the air box needs to come out, and I was kind of fighting with this shit for a good minute, and your boy don't feel like going through that trouble again. So alright, we're gonna figure this shit out. Alright, well, after a lot of time and trying to look at stuff, the jumper didn't do anything yet. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I seriously, like, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. Like, it's pretty much saying that it's getting no power. Like, it's not communicating with the AFR gauge at all. Is what I'm getting. And I even redid the ground source down there. I re-cleaned everything up. Like, even went crazier on the ground source. Still nothing. So it's like it's reading here, changing, is reading here, changing here, and it's reading an AFR target. And the AFR targets, it's moving, but for the actual air fuel ratio, like log, it's not working. I even unplugged the accessory port up top there. I don't know. So I'm just, you know, I'm reading this, and you know, I even went ahead and did the custom wideband for 0 volts, 735, 5 volts, 2239, and it's pretty much saying, when I did that, it said like 750 air fuel, right? So it means it's like getting no power. So like it's saying that it's getting, the ECU is not getting any power from the AFR. So I'm assuming it has to do with something along that accessory port. I have to, I guess, repin it. So I'm about to find out on my phone right now which pin am I supposed to plug it into, because this is starting to really piss me off. Because I mean, the AFR gauge works. I mean, it fucking works, because it's reading here, you know, the different numbers, whatever, and it's in the same range as the AFR targets. So the AFR targets and the AFR gauge, they're on point, but it's not saying actual AFR itself in the ECU. So that's why the Autotune isn't gonna work until I get this shit, you know, to where it says 10 right here. It needs to say the same number there and the same number here. So I'm gonna find out which pin that shit is and find a way to work this shit in, because like I said, nobody has anything on the new ECU. So alright, so next day I'm gonna catch y'all up on what happened. So we found the jumper, we jumped it, still didn't work. I took out the accessory plug, still didn't work. I even went ahead and did a whole bunch of couple things. So yanked out the original option port that I plugged in, realized now that I know what's for what, that's obviously for the wrong thing. I ended up crimping a new connector spliced from the yellow wire from the AFR gauge into the 5 volt option port on the back of the options port, because you know it needs to read something, unless I'm supposed to put it into the CAN bus section. Don't know. Nothing. I removed the jumper completely, put everything back together, and we still got nothing. It's just crazy. Like, we did still got nothing. So there's like a part of me that wants to really make sure that the yellow wire from the gauge didn't like somehow split apart underneath the dash somewhere. That's gonna have to be my next best bet. Oh well, look what your boy done found here. You see that wire right there? That's supposed to be the analog wire running along this whole thing into the ECU. So it got undone. Oh fuck. I mean, I gotta take that shit out, yo. Damn. This is the face of figuring it out, baby. All right, so we got it. Took me a little bit of time. I think it took me about, I want to say like a good hour and a half maybe. So if you have this new Mega Squirt ECU with the new options ports plug, and if you have my, well, I can't even sit there and say if you have my same application, but if you run into my same issue, which is trying to get the wideband to read correctly, here's what happens. So they actually did update their info. So right here it says, you know, if a wideband oxygen says to be connected to the original sensor connectors, J5 chooses which OE circuit is used, right? But now at the end it says, if a sensor is to be wired to the rear options connector, remove this jumper completely. So they did update their instructions in saying if you're running a wideband, get rid of the jumper, right? Now what they don't tell you is, where do you wire the options? So you come down here to the rear option connector, and it goes to option C right here. So it's going to be on the right side with the bigger plugs. You're going to put it in the C because, you know, ego has something to do with the wideband and the way it works. But then it says right here, notes, the J5 jumper must be removed. So if it's saying that must be removed, and it's saying if you're running up here, if you're running an options connector, remove the jumper completely. Put 2 and 2 together and boom, that's what you get. So this is what we're looking right now. See it, focus. I got everything damn near torn apart, right? So, you know, figuring out, realizing that, you know, the 2 plugs I put in was wrong. Now we got it right, and I got my whole section looking crazy. The second part to this equation was definitely the fact that the cable itself, the yellow wire, became unplugged under the dash. Don't know how, don't know why, but you know, I got it, like I had it, you know, this is like testing right now. That's what testing looks like. So I got a jerry rig right there, so I gotta, you know, make sure that connection is all nice and pretty and fixed up right and put everything back correctly. But that works, and it reads. So it reads 100%. So there you go. If you are in my predicament with the new options plug setup and you're a little confused on where to put your wideband sensor readout, you know, I have the innovative. So the yellow wire runs to option C for ego, and the J5 jumper must be removed, which is that little guy right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cleaned up and fixed up, because this shit looks like a hot mess, bro. My god. All right, your boy just came back from a nice little test drive using the Autotune now that we officially got all the kinks worked out, and it did pretty good. Like there's some little things that I'm not liking, like there's like some serious, I think it's boost cut, like it's like straight up cutting when I'm, you know, trying to go all the way to red line. It's not allowing the car to go all the way. So I don't know if that's because I'm being limited by fuel or what have you, but I'll just you know, let it chill, let it relax, Not gonna really worry about it too much. As long as I know I can drive it from A to B, that's gonna be it. I am gonna need to get more oil in the system soon though, because I have leaked out way too much oil and I don't want to damage anything serious, so cut it off. We're done for now. The next thing I really need to worry about is the fuel gauge. For some reason on the cluster it stopped working. It's like stuck on E, so I gotta figure that out. I don't know what's going on, but yeah guys, here we are. We figured out the situation with the wideband sensor now reading with DIY Tuner Studio, so that we can get the Autotune working, and now it works. What a mess and what a day, but we got it done though. We figured it out and we got it done. Hopefully I helped somebody with this. I just had a blast driving around the neighborhood now that I know that the Tuner Studio is working and it's working the system out in kinks. Really looking forward to going for much longer drives to really let the system do its thing and work its way out. But in order for me to do that, I seriously need to get the bumper on. So I might be working on that next. That's probably going to be next, getting the bumper on, getting the pieces back together. Then you know, I still got to finish up the interior a little bit. Yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in like always and sticking around, and stay tuned for more content with this thing. You know, we are very much far from done, because we are going to be making sure we take our nice sweet ass time dialing it in strong. You see this all along my damn paint and my window coming from this fucker? Damn, I smell oil too. That shit. Yeah, I'm gonna stop running it until I get more oil in the system. Definitely gonna probably put like another quart, maybe a quart and a half of oil in there, because I can smell it. I'm starting to smell something and it ain't pleasant. So it's not gas I'm smelling oil. And that's not a good thing. You're not supposed to be smelling oil. But there we go guys. I got to hear the turbo spooling, the blow valve sneezing. So next thing is the bumper for sure. Definitely gonna get the bumper on here. Who knows? I might do it right now.